My thoughts of what they've done to this young boy. This is a case that has really touched so many because of the sheer brutality of the torture and abuse of this young boy by the two people who should have been taking care of him.
The conduct was horrendous, inhumane, and nothing short of evil.
After calling this the worst case of abuse he has seen in his 20 years on the bench, Judge George Lamelli sentenced Isaro Aguirre to death for torturing and murdering 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez. His girlfriend, the boy's mother, Pearl Fernandez, received life in prison for her role.
It is unimaginable, the pain that this child probably endured.
Gabriel had a cracked skull, broken ribs, burns, and BB pellets lodged in his body.
I want to say I'm sorry to my family for what I did. I want to say I'm sorry for this what happened. I wish Gabriel was alive. Every day I wish that I made better choices.
Aguirre didn't speak in court, and neither did the boy's biological father, who is in custody on an unrelated charge. But he said he wanted to listen to the sentencing and to the other family members who spoke at the hearing.
Gabriel had unconditional love for you, and you took advantage of that, knowing he will never turn you in.
But Gabriel's teacher, Jennifer Garcia, did report the abuse to a hotline. However, social workers left Gabriel in the home where he was tortured and starved and eventually beaten to death by Aguirre and Fernandez.
And I know I'm not alone in hoping that they experience the same abuse in their lifetime and worse. They are evil people for what they did.
She described Gabriel as a kind and helpful boy. She no longer uses his student number.
I don't assign number 28 to another student because I feel that it's only his number now. And it's a way for me to honor him in my classroom.
5 years after the young boy's death, justice.
I'm just doing my job. That's it.
Deputy DA John Hitami, a father of 2 young children, was emotional.
I think Gabriel's affected everybody, including me.
Many of the family members in court today wore t-shirts with the little boy's picture on the front that said, "Justice for Gabriel." On the back, they read, "It's not over." Trials are now planned for the social workers and their supervisors.
Now, this is a case of a young man named Gabriel Fernandez. He was 8 years old. He passed away May 24th, 2013. Now, Gabriel Fernandez, an 8-year-old Hispanic boy, died Friday, May 24, after he was beaten in the 200 block of East Avenue Q 10 in Palmdale, according to Los Angeles County Coroner's records. Now, the grand jury testimony revealed that the child's mother, Pearl Fernandez, called 911 after she and her boyfriend, Isaro Aguirre, allegedly beat Gabriel for not picking up his toys. After the beating, the boy went silent and stopped responding. The two were indicted in August 2014 on charges of murder and a special circumstance of torture and pleaded not guilty. The prosecutors said they plan to seek the death penalty in this case. The Los Angeles County's Department of Children and Family Services left Gabriel in the home despite 6 investigations into abuse allegations involving the mother over the last decade. Gabriel's death sparked a larger investigation into the County Department of Children and Family Services that found a long history of reports of abuse in the Fernandez home. Now, his mother and Aguirre are accused of beating Gabriel to death after dousing him with pepper spray, forcing him to eat his own vomit, and locking him in a cabinet with a sock stuffed in his mouth to muffle his screams, according to court records. Detectives who searched the family's apartment found a wooden club covered in Gabriel's blood. When paramedics arrived May 22, 2013, they found Gabriel naked in a bedroom, not breathing, with a cracked skull, 3 broken ribs, and a BB pellet embedded in his lung and groin. He died 2 days later. Now, James Cermak, a LA County Fire Department paramedic, testified it was like every inch of this child's body had been abused. Now, when they were both indicted by a grand jury back in 2014, the grand jury reported shocking testimony given not only by first responders, but from Gabriel's siblings, who described the house of horrors and torture inflicted on the little boy. In details, the heinous abuse the boy suffered during the 8 months that he lived in his mother's home with her boyfriend, all the way up to the fatal blows that would end his life. Ezekiel, Gabriel's older brother, testified that Gabriel was the only one of the 4 children who had suffered the abuse. If he tried to help Gabriel, his mother would hit him, and he and the other children were scared of the mother. The report indicates that Gabriel was pepper sprayed, locked in a closet with a sock stuffed in his mouth to muffle his screams, kicked until unconscious, hit with a baseball bat, forced to eat cat feces and rotten food, and had to eat his own vomit if he threw up. Now, extended family members that include Gabriel's cousin, Emily Saranza, are having a difficult time hearing the graphic details of the torture. Now, she said, "I feel sad, and because Gabriel would have been 9 years old and would have been starting 4th grade in school this week, just the same way that my own son would be." Police found him lying naked and found his clothes that were soaked with blood and BB pellets and a blood-stained bat that had used to knock out his teeth. Man, this story is so disturbing. Netflix has a special on Gabriel and the case and how everything had played out. So I got more interested in this story. This is a sad story, but I just felt compelled to do it. Now, the 800-page report contains photos and outlined the cruel and unimaginable details of abuse and what a first responder described as torture, even worse than a prisoner of war would receive. The child wasn't allowed out of the cabinet to use the bathroom, and when he relieved himself in the cabinet, he had to clean it up himself. There was also evidence of sexual abuse. Damn, sexual abuse. Reports of public humiliation with Gabriel forced to wear girls' clothes. Now, the thing is with that, let me just give you a little bit of history, because I don't think they're putting that in this story. Gabriel was living with his great uncle since he was about maybe a few days old. The mother didn't want to have anything to do with the child, so the great uncle took him home from the hospital, and the uncle was in a same-sex relationship with another man. And then what happened is a lot of allegations came out that he was being sexually assaulted by uncle or the uncle's partner. So from that point, he went and stayed with the grandparents. Now, when asked why Fernandez took him out of his grandparents' care after they had cared for him since infancy, family members and friends of the family all agreed that money was the primary motivator for Pearl Fernandez to take Gabriel. The paperwork for custody was never handled correctly. They say so Gabriel's grandparents had no legal standing to force her to return the boy to them. She had to have him so she could get more welfare money. A family friend who asked not to be identified told the San Fernando Valley newspaper. So basically, money was the motivating factor in her decision to take her child. She never loved that little boy, not from day one, because she left him in the hospital, so she never cared about that boy. Why she hated her youngest son so much still isn't clear to the extended family and friends. They have speculated and have different opinions, but they all agree that Fernandez had always been out of control and disrespectful to everyone. Saranza, Gabriel's cousin, said that she respects the teacher. She tried to get help for Gabriel, and the school at one point even called 911. The calls weren't taken seriously. The sheriff's department even told Gabriel to stop making up stories or he was going to be taken to jail. So they told an 8-year-old boy to stop making up stories and he'll be taken to jail. Man, that's crazy. Now, I'm still unhappy with the last social worker at Department of Family and Children's Services on Gabriel's case, who listed his fat lip as nothing more than a blister. The first responders who saw him that night, who saw his skin burned and scarred with BB pellets, why couldn't the social worker see it when he was standing right in front of her? There had been more physical signs, and she could have looked under his shirt and talked to him away from his abuser. She would have gotten answers. A lot of times those people are just overwhelmed with cases. I saw where the social worker can have anywhere from 28 to 35 cases that they're working at the same time. So I just think it's a matter of, I don't know if they handle each case properly the way they should. It's just, they're probably just overwhelmed. Asorta Guerra, the suspect, he was given ultimately the death penalty, and Gabriel Fernandez, the mother, was given a life sentence. Now, also in this case, social workers were indicted by a grand jury basically for the negligence in handling this case. Social workers Stephanie Rodriguez, 35, and Patricia Clement, 69, and the supervisor Kevin Baum, 41, and Gregory Merritt, 64, had each been charged one felony count of child abuse and one felony count of falsifying public records. Prosecutors say they failed to take the appropriate steps to protect Gabriel and then falsify documents related to his case. So ultimately, the LA County Superior Court judge dismissed all the charges against the social workers in this case. But I think from that point on, all those cases are going to be handled differently for neglect, because I think this put a spotlight on how these cases are handled. But I think if you get time, you check out that Netflix special on this story. And I just want to say rest in peace to the young man, Gabriel Fernandez. He should have never have gone through this. This is a very sad case. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.